Right. Yeah, I know. I'm rethinking it. I want an extra layer. Okay, we're going to get started. I'm calling this meeting to order. It is now 10 a.m. We'll start with roll call. We have Joe Blau at District 1, Jessica Clayton, District 2, and Colton Murphy joining us today with District 3. The notice of meeting was properly posted on July 20th, 2023. We will start with number 1, which is the approval of minutes.
Approve. Motion to approve.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are going to start with number 3, and then we'll visit the SHINE policies and procedures at the end. Is that okay with you, Grant? Okay. Number 3 is the discussion and possible action regarding policies, process, procedures, and status report relating to the planning, oversight, and administration of the Oklahoma County's ARPA funding allocation.
Good morning.
Good morning, Danielle.
So we will let this be the grant show today. We don't have a whole lot to give you an update on. As everybody knows, we do have the subrecipient trainings going on tonight in person. They are at the Accenture office. The training begins at 4 p.m. We have about 14 people that have RSVP'd for in person. Those that can't join us in person will be joining us on Thursday virtually through Teams at 3 p.m. for the training on that day. So that will get all of our subrecipients up to speed. We are really excited to show them kind of, the next steps in the process. We'll walk them through how they will get their subrecipient agreements, how they've been ranked, whether it's a low, medium, or high risk, and what that means for their subrecipient agreements, and kind of give them a timeline to know that since we have to submit those things to the DA and then they come back and then the boards have to approve those agreements as well, they will get their dollars soon, but it will not be immediate. So we'll walk through all of that today with them, as well as letting them know when they have to get information back to us for reporting, which transitions us really well into talking about reporting. Today, this afternoon, once P&G wraps, I will be submitting our annual report and the quarterly report for Q2. So those are both complete and will be added. The quarterly report will be submitted directly to Treasury, as will the annual report, but then also the annual report, similar to the other ones, will go on the county website. So that will be accessible to anybody who wants to see it. That was provided to you guys, I think, a week or two ago as well. And then last but not least, we do have a little bit of movement for the elevators. Luckily, they have gotten some contracts in place for the design and architects on those, so those are moving as well. But that kind of wraps us up on new updates, but happy to walk through any other projects if you have questions.
Nope.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Motion
Great.
to receive and welcome to you.
Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Having technical difficulties. You got it. Are we on? We can move. Okay. So next is number 4. We're going to recess into executive session.
Motion to recess into executive session.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Lisa, will you join us? Thank you. Okay, I'll make the motion to return from executive session.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, on item 5, I would move that we instruct the staff to proceed as discussed.
I'll second.
I thought I hit it.
I know it's acting weird. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we will return back to number 2, which is the discussion and possible action regarding an update related to the SHINE program grant.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You should have in front of you a draft with a lot of work from Lisa. Thank you very much
Thank you, Lisa.
for all your work. We can tackle this any way you want. We can look at each one at a time. If anybody has comments or anybody wants to make comments first before we do that, we can do that. Whatever's best.
Okay. I think I would prefer just to go line each section because I have a couple suggestions since I was out. So regarding number 1, under the purpose, I believe just technical, that would be great to add what SHINE stands for, which is Start Helping Impacted Neighbors Everywhere, and then put SHINE in parentheses afterwards. So that way, moving forward throughout the document, it's documented in regards to what that means. So that was my only recommendation for number 1. And that's all I have for page number 1. Do you have anything for page number 1, Joe or Colton?
I do have a question on to the scope.
Okay.
And I visited with Grant a little bit, and it's more about the mechanics. Individuals who reside in Oklahoma County but may have committed an offense in another county or another state are allowed to do their community service in the county. My question is, who is reporting? Is SHINE reporting to that jurisdiction's court? Is there any, if there's a failure to report, any kind of blowback on us? Do we need to address that anywhere?
With regard to that, we added this language based upon comments made from the last session. As a community service provider, if we would basically sign off on their documents and give it to the individual and put it on the individual to get it to the other jurisdiction.
Okay.
And so they are obviously the ones who are in charge of making sure they comply with whatever jurisdictions. It should not fall back on SHINE as long as our program folks know who they are and that they are going to give their hours to the individual and then have them provide it to the court.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So the only thing that I would like to see is, I know that there was 2 affidavits that were attached to this, but I would like to see the forms. Were there any changes to the forms? Were they included in that email? I may have missed them.
They were included in the email from Lisa, I believe.
Okay.
That's
Were there a lot of
as a
changes to
PDF.
those?
Yeah, they should have been in.
Okay. Were there major changes to them?
The existing forms, there were no changes, but
Okay.
I thought it was a good idea if we're revamping the policy to go through those forms. So if you're going to make any changes or suggestions, this is the time to do it. But though I wanted them all the forms that we were going to use for this program attached as addendums to the policy, so they're all in one location.
Okay.
And then when you're passing it, you're passing the whole thing, knowing what the forms say.
Okay. Well, if there's not any changes
There's
to
the-
them, then
There's
I'm-
the PDF that
Oh,
Lisa
thank you.
provided. All right, I have a question really about the relevancy of 5.4. And in visiting with Grant, so it says payment of the fee is not mandated for entry into the SHINE program. When you refer to the statute, the fee imposed is a mandatory fee. I think the verbiage is shall impose a fee. I think what maybe the intent here was that you don't have necessarily have to have paid that fee to be in the program. So I'm wondering if we could just strike that.
That would be fine. I
Okay.
mean, like I said, this was in the original, so
Yeah.
I left everything in the original, and only made suggestions where I thought it would add for clarity.
Okay, so yeah, if we can strike that, because we don't have the ability to render a statutory fee. Okay,
Okay, so we're striking 5.4.
yeah, and then down on 6.5, participation in the county treatment court, including but not limited to drug court, DUI, mental health, veterans, et cetera, remerge, automatically qualifies for the defendant in placement and shine. My understanding from visiting with Grant is that that verbiage is the result of an administrative order. And my concern is if there's a change, that we've enumerated those in the policy and then we have to go back and revise the policy, if we could come up with some language that is just reflective of diversion programs approved by virtue of administrative order, something to that effect, we don't have to come back and amend this policy in the event there were changes, either deletions or additions. So that's,
How about after the remerge, we add, or any other program administratively approved by the court?
yeah, Lisa, I think that'd be great. Why don't we just insert your language after veterans diversion, take out remerge, because it's in that,
Okay,
Group, yeah.
and go with that.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
I'll do that.
That's a great suggestion. Thank you. Anything else for page 2? I don't have anything else.
No, nothing on
Okay.
page 2.
Okay, on to page 3.
Page 3, 6.9, participants ordered by a federal court, state municipal court, et cetera. Is there funding associated with that on the federal system? Do we have the authority to take federal? I've asked this question before.
If a federal court lets the individual pick and choose their community service program, this would make it available. If a federal court orders them to shine, they would be able to do that. This was the language that was there about the federal program, that was existing at the last meeting. So
Right.
all I did was, try to at least limit that so that make sure that there is a connection to Oklahoma County, either the person lives in Oklahoma County or the court order, so that somebody who was sentenced in federal court in eastern Oklahoma isn't coming.
Yeah, and I get the purpose and the value that would be to somebody who lives here that needs to perform. What I don't want to do is get into the position of where the federal court is sentencing people here and we're expending our funds for a purpose that they might otherwise have been responsible for themselves. So
True.
just a concern. Okay.
Like I said, you could also add language in that Oklahoma County, people who are sentenced to shine in Oklahoma County have preference over the program. So if there's ever, a problem where shine gets so big where people are showing up, you will at least prioritize county sentencing over any other foreign jurisdiction. We
I
can
think
add some
that's a
language.
wise
Yeah. So you got that, Grant?
inclusion.
To add to 6.9, Oklahoma County has preference. Anything else for page 3? No. Okay, on to page 4.
Page 4, it's probably not necessary, but just clarifying on the 8.7 where it talks about the use of alcohol or drugs, I would just go ahead and insert including medical marijuana. That's similar to what we've done with our drug policy here for our DOT certified guys, et cetera. That way, no questions asked, but
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. So that is under section 8.7 to include medical marijuana along with drugs or alcohol. Page number 5. We had a suggestion on page number 5 under 9.5, where it says work performed pursuant to a contract with the state or municipality should be invoiced each month based on terms of the contract. And so we had suggested should be invoiced per the terms of the contract, just because from what I understand, sometimes the invoicing happens maybe weekly or outside of monthly or annually is what I'm getting feedback from. So just say per the terms of the contract rather than defining monthly based. And that's on 9.5.
Yep.
Any other suggestions for 5, Joe or Colton? Okay, if none, we'll move to number 6. A suggestion on number 6 on 11.1 and really throughout the document, we believe that anywhere where it lists litter removal, that we should also put litter and debris removal, just because it could be other than just trash. Could be limbs or would be a suggestion. And then on 11.3 was the only thing that we wanted to have a discussion regarding the permission to enter private property must occur in all circumstances, even if the litter or garbage is not on public easement. And so we want to make sure that on this page that we are able to pick up for the purposes of beautification for the community, any type of litter or debris that's on the easement. So if have crews out there and they find trash on an easement, that they can pick it up. And so that's something that we felt like was important. Do you have any questions about that, Grant?
Just to clarify, so I understand. So just as an example, so what you're saying is the crew's driving down the road, nobody called, nobody asked for anything. They just happened to look and see trash and litter in an area that they can stop and pick that up. They wouldn't need to call the municipality or anything like that if they see
If it's trash,
litter,
like
trash
on the
that's
side of 7-Eleven or for beautification, or if there's,
clear to pick that up.
they'd be clear to pick that up. And that's in our statute in regards to
I
public
have
easement.
concerns eliminating the language as it's written. And I get the public purpose. But public purpose is a broadly provided service that's applicable or available to everyone, not just an individual. And I think the way that this has been rewritten addresses that we're not going to be hauling off debris that's the result of someone remodeling a home. Oh, well, it's on the right of way, we're going to get it. No, that's not the purpose of Shine. Now, if we were doing a neighborhood cleanup, then that benefit and the use of public funds has been extended to a larger audience. And I think that would meet the definition more closely of a public purpose. But just driving down the road and, oh, so-and-so's got, no. I think that having the protections that the affidavit, if you will, that the homeowner or the property owner did not cause that trash to be placed there themselves under the possibility of committing perjury is a protection that the county needs and that we need to allow Grant and his staff to have.
So just for clarification, because Charles Dodson has experience in running the program before we move forward, I just want to make sure that you had mentioned litter blitzes and different things that we have done in the past, and just want to make sure that we have a clear understanding.
Yeah, Shine Daily, as directed by the city, goes along and picks up litter. Like a classic example is right where we pick everybody up on a Western across from McDonald's. Many times we're walking up to Main Street, sidewalk, those are businesses, that's private property. We're picking up litter. I mean, this precludes us from doing it, is my understanding.
Not because this particular provision, if it's under city contract and you're directed by the city to do it, go forth and prosper. We are just, the city is directing that. That's our protection, our level of protection. This was intended, this is a separate standalone section that is addressing when Shine gets the phone call and it's the city. Now, just because it's now remember, public easement is a public easement. It's still private property. And my concern is we pull up and this happens a lot. There's a rock mailbox, or a bricked in mailbox, and we back into that as we are just doing a good deed and we don't have permission from the homeowner to be there, we're going to be buying and putting that mailbox up, even with the best intentions. Now, I understand that these are all suggestions, but my job is to play Chicken Little, the sky is falling, okay? So I have to look at every scenario of what could possibly occur and when we're doing this good deed, because let's face it, no good deed goes unpunished. So this is not intended to impact at all. That's why there's a separate section with regard to doing work under what OKC contract us to do. We can do that. If it's big garbage pickup and the community as a whole is on notice that they'll be picking up, that's different than, picking up debris on somebody's private property without the owners knowing that you're doing it. Maybe that's out there on the curb and they brought it to the curb because they have the League of the Blind or somebody else coming to pick it up, and then we've picked it up. So I just want to be sure that we have owners' permission, or they at least know that we are picking it up and they're okay with it, because we don't always know if that's out there for us to pick it up or it's out there for somebody else to pick it up that's already been paid or has maybe purchased the property, or a lot of people do curbside pickups with buying stuff. I know sometimes trash might look like trash, but it might be scrap somebody wants. We don't know those factors, and so that's the factors that go into my brain when I did this policy. But once again, it's a suggestion. You guys do with it what you want, but I at least wanted to explain the difference. And remember, just because it's how it's been done in the past doesn't always mean you might have had exposure without knowing it. And my goal is, now that I know about it, I have the duty to tell you about the potential risks. And so you can weigh and balance those risks of what you want to accept and what you don't want to accept. So this is a suggestion, but I just want to clarify, this particular provision will not impact Oklahoma City, and you will not have to do it. We will rely on Oklahoma City to have done that.
Yeah, and that's a classic example with our city contracts that we're actually doing it for beautification, if you will. And so even just using that example, it's a brand new 7-Eleven that is adjacent to where the city contract stops. And so if there was a bottle, if there's a trash, if there's obviously litter right there, this would preclude us from picking that up. And also it would completely torpedo all the litter blitzes that we do with different organizations.
It doesn't torpedo anything. If you make a broad pronouncement and it is available to everyone, then the Shine program can go and do that type of work. If you say we're going to be in Midwest City and we're going to have a large trash pickup day, we could do that because every resident of the city of Midwest City has the ability to participate. Okay? What this prevents is XYZ home remodeler putting their stuff at the curb and then calling us and saying, hey, in the name of beautification, come pick this stuff up that I would otherwise have to pay to have disposed.
Okay, so
that is a private entity benefiting from public funds, whereas the other is the whole public. I think this is good, sound policy, and I recognize that things may have been done differently, and we've just learned that we need to take some steps to protect ourselves and protect those homeowners as well. And my concern in all of this has been that Grant and his staff aren't placed in some position of having to defend an action that they were directed to do. We have it all lined out. So
yeah, I go back to picking up litter. So use Joe's example, they do a litter blitz in Bethany. This doesn't preclude them from picking up litter because they're walking over private property, public easement, but on private property as they walk down 23rd or 39th Street. Is that right?
Right. If it's part of an existing program, like I said, or a neighborhood-wide large trash pickup, that's not going to be applying to this. I'm just talking about like, and for instance, you just mentioned the 7-Eleven, like there's trash. You know, nothing precludes you if you see something and you don't have anything else to do, go up and knock on the homeowner's door and say, we're here from Shine. Would you like us to remove it? And if you do, please sign this document and you can do it. So like I said, I know that the bumpers are there for a reason. It's going to get you to do 99% of what you're doing. The thing is we just want the protection in there so that a homeowner doesn't say, hey, you guys were out and you did this and now we have a tort claim and now we have, you know, potential problems. So, and also to go to Joe's point, you know, there are business owners that get paid a lot of money to do refuse removal. That's their business. And a lot of times they don't like government services coming in and doing for free what they're undermining their businesses. So that's another layer that I want to at least point out is sometimes people will say, oh, if Shine picked it up and they had called someone, that service just lost the money because now the garbage is gone and they're going to be like, okay, you interfered with my business, Oklahoma County.
So what you just said leads into one of my main concerns in regards to some of the changes. I like the affidavit, but like you said, we need to be able to go in and ask for permission and have them sign it so that way we can provide that beautification and that amazing service that we offer. And so I think it's important, strongly feel it's important in order to remove where they have to notarize that document, because that prevents our Shine workers to be able to effectively, you know, do their jobs, because many people are not going to have access to a notary, and having to take that and get it signed in order to make something so simple happen. No notary.
So does the elimination of the notary remove the perjury aspect or lessen the perjury aspect?
Yes, it does.
And
And
we
I will
can-
tell you that Oklahoma County, up in civil, we can notarize any document if somebody has a problem with it.
Well, that would mean that they'd have to come up to the county, find parking, and get something notarized in order
Or-
to have that service done.
Well, yeah, but they're also getting a big free pickup trash service, so I think maybe a $10 notary might not be such a bad idea. But there's also online notary services, and there's a lot of places that offer, if you're indigent, will offer free notary services. And like I said, if the Shine employees need something notarized, they can always call our office as well. If they are out in the field and they need something notarized, we can probably get that service provided within same day. So like I said, I think that it's up to you. Like I said, this is your policy, you know, do what you will. The reason why it was notarized is so that we have that penalty of perjury, so that nobody is actually taking advantage of the services when they should be paying for those services. Because like Oklahoma County they don't offer free service pickup. They actually ticket you. Do you know what I mean? And so they put it on the individual for the big trash pickup, whereas we're offering a community service, and it's a great thing. I'm trying to give you as big a wide a lane as we possibly can, but to me, the notary is not too onerous, and if you do have somebody that's indigent, we can work with that through the directors.
So again, a litter blitz. We're on Northwest 10th Street. We're walking down. There's probably a dozen businesses in one block. And so there's plastic bags, there's a bottle, there's a Coke can.
The litter blitz that you're talking about, we just talked about that. If it's through Oklahoma City and it's
I'm
been
not
up,
talking about Oklahoma City, I'm talking about Bethany.
okay, well, Bethany, if Bethany has told the folks in Bethany, hey, we're doing big trash pickup and Shine is offering to do that, that's not going to apply to this situation. This is when I'm intending this to apply when an individual is calling into Shine for services.
Oh, okay. So this is only triggered if someone has called.
But if you're going to go on somebody's private property without their permission to get, I'm not talking about picking up a Coke can off the, that's on the side of the road. I'm talking about a big debris pile that's next to the mailbox. You probably need to verify with that homeowner that they want you to pick that up, that that's not out there for somebody else to pick up, because I don't want that call from the citizen saying, you know, I paid for X services to come pick it up and they were going to pick it up and they didn't pick it up, and they're, you know, now I'm out money and they're, you know, they're upset with me and I'm upset because we had a deal going on and somebody else picked up this stuff. So, you know, I'm just saying, just be cautious of what you're doing and know that that big litter pickup is different than I'm picking up fast food debris that's left in the right of way.
And we discussed, Grant, if I remember correctly, working with other municipalities such as Bethany in regards to putting together an MOU like we have for Oklahoma City, and that understanding of being able to provide like services, correct? Have we reached out to any other municipality?
Right.
Has your
No,
office
and a lot-
done that?
A lot would be staffing also.
Mhm.
Obviously, the more and more municipalities you have a contract with, and the needs for that location, you can only hit so many. So I would love to get a contract with every municipality in the county, and we do that. And depending on what the goals and expectations are, then we come back here and we say we need this many more staff, we need this many more vehicles, and we just grow and grow. I mean, that's ultimately would be the goal. But
Yeah.
And then as far as just to clarify the litter blitz and just trying to see exactly what was being talked about is, to me, I'm hearing two different litter blitzes. I'm hearing one that the municipality calls and says, hey, we want you to do this for the city and this is a contract work and we'll pay you for it. But then I'm also hearing that neighborhood X, Y, and Z picks up the phone, has nothing to do with the municipality, nothing to do with anything else other than this neighborhood, and requests us to either do a litter blitz in their neighborhood or come back after they've done a litter blitz and pick up the trash that's left behind. So I'm
My opinion,
clarifying
Grant, to
the two
that
things.
is, if it is within a municipality and say it's XYZ neighborhood, they should contact that municipality and that municipality should say, hey, I want you to go and clean up XYZ.
right. Then it would
Then
be,
it's at their, all of that can be handled by
then it
an
would be
MOU.
contract work with the municipality requested by them, and it would be
Yeah.
picked up. I'm
And
just
if-
trying to.
And I don't know why a municipality would be hesitant to have that type of agreement with us if it's a benefit to their citizens. We're making this much more onerous than it needs to be. It's pretty simple, right? But I mean, if we want to keep going, you get back to the statute, and the verbiage in the statute is pretty specific. It says, work in or on any government property, okay? That's where you can work, and designed to save public funds and improve the community. But improving the community is through working on the government property. So even what we have here may be a little beyond, but as long as the county is protected, you're protected, we're making this service available to everybody, then I think it's a great thing.
Is there a way that we could advertise possibly when we talk about Shine that the county would provide free notary service should they need this affidavit signed?
I would not like to provide free notary service because you can get a notary for very minimal price, and a lot of people can afford a notary. But like I said, if that becomes a issue and they bring it up to Grant that I can't afford a notary, I can't afford $10 notary fee to put an application to get free garbage pickup, then we can maybe address it. But I don't like to advertise a free notary service because, number one, you know, once again, that's a county service, and it's putting the notary on, you know, we're going to have issues if we do it for everybody. But like I said, I think on a case-by-case basis, you leave that to the discretion of the director on whether he feels like the person who is asking legitimately can afford a $10 notary. And then we can probably provide those services. We're not going to make the $10 notary a bar to providing Shine services, but I don't think it's outrageous to say, I want you to come onto my private property and do this abatement, because that's what it's going to be. I mean, you know, especially in Oklahoma City where they're a lot of times they're fining individuals and they don't, you know, they don't offer this kind of services. We can be that gap. That's the whole point. And like I said, I wrote this policy with that in mind of or improve the community. And when I mean community as a whole. So like I said, I hope that this helps and you can do whatever you need to do with this affidavit or this language as you want to change it. I feel like this is the broadest I can go within the scope of what I'm given, which is the statute and the resolution. And then you guys can decide later, like I said, if we need to go back. I bet you money we could go back to the legislature and get anything we wanted to added to that Shine statute that would give you the bumpers that you need to do these kinds of things.
Yeah, the statutes authorize work on private property as long as it's for the public purpose. And again, not for profit, it could be Boy Scouts, it could be a church, it could be the district that we talked about. It could be, I mean, these neighborhood, is it Neighborhood Alliance over on Classen and 39th that has, I mean, all these. So these are the ones that are like, usually doing the litter blitzes, if you will. And again, you're on all these businesses or whatever, walking on the sidewalk. So that's the thing that I don't believe that you should have a notarized signature or have to go up and knock on the door because you're picking up a Coke can as you're doing a litter blitz. So
If you
Yeah.
put it in a contract in a municipality contract with us that we're going to perform litter blitzes, then it's taken care of. You don't have to do any of that stuff. What we're addressing here are the instances where I've remodeled my home and, I don't want to pay the disposal fee, so I'm just going to throw the junk on the curb and I know Shine's going to come and get it. That's not the purpose of Shine.
yeah, so the distinction is when
Would you agree?
a private, yes, I do agree. So when a private individual requests the services and not a not-for-profit or any sort of organization.
But
Now,
again, on a not-for-profit,
I'm-
and I'm not a lawyer, but
okay,
right.
I was going.
public purpose, right? A
I'm sorry, say again.
public purpose. You can say it's for a public purpose for a nonprofit,
Mhm.
but that may not be the case because if the nonprofit is directly receiving the benefit and not the broader public that it serves, then it's not a public purpose. So there's a little question of fact, if you will, in everything. So
Yeah, I'm not saying that the fact that it's a nonprofit should give them a blank check. I agree. We're not going to go paint a youth barn, if you will, but we should have the authority to be able to go pick up a Coke can while we're on it. Yeah, right. What you're saying, we do. This is just barring when an individual reaches out on their behalf of their own private property.
Right, and
that we
I
go
would
the
leave
extra.
it, right, and I'm gonna leave it to the discretion. I think the director of the program and his crews, they're the ones who are boots on the ground. They're gonna be out there, they're gonna analyze it. This statute gives them the bumpers. We're telling them litter pickup is litter pickup, but big trash is different, and if they, before you go dump, get a big pile of trash off of somebody's private property, even if it's pulled to the easement, you better knock and at least contact the property owner or the tenant and find out if it's, get their permission to do so. And then then the county is covered from any liability associated with that. If there are damages, because that's the other thing too, they're asking for free litter pickup or graffiti removal. If our graffiti removal, if the homeowner doesn't like it, are they going to sue us if we don't do it to their liking? We need to know this is a free service and you're going to acknowledge that it's free and that we don't guarantee the results. Or, do you see what I'm saying? Like a lot of this is good language to protect the county in the event, so that when we go out and do these good deeds and we do this good community service, that we're not accidentally biting off liability that we didn't anticipate in the beginning. Do you know what I'm saying? Like I said, yes, sometimes a Coke bottle is just a Coke bottle. Sometimes debris at the curb is perfectly fine. Other times it's not. But I think if you give the director discretion to go within these boundaries and everybody is on board and knows what this means, that you'll be able to do it. I don't think this is this is not designed at all to prevent Shine from doing what Shine does. It's to let Shine do everything it can do within the scope of the law and still protect the county from liability.
Yeah, and to be in a very practical manner, I think then the other thing that we do see a lot of, and at times have done daily, is then not the Coke can, but the mattress and the sofa. I mean, we're all, if you've been on Shine, you've picked up mattresses and sofas or chairs. I mean, dumping, but it's clearly illegal dumping. I'm not talking about where someone has remodeled or whatever. But this would be one that I would not put the bar of having to get a notarized signature. I would do that with just being able to get the authorization, if you will, and not put that bar, because many times you're there in the neighborhood, you can just go get the signature and do it, as opposed to then you're just creating all this extra, layers that I don't think is necessary for what's clearly a large Coke can, basically, that we pick up all the time.
You know, I'm wondering why we're having so much conversation about these types of instances when we have all these public properties, parks, other things that are in poor disarray, and there's no question that we can do any of this. You walk around this building's perimeter on any given day and you see trash, you see, unfortunately, feces, you see all kinds of stuff that we could be addressing and beautifying and making look good. And we're talking about other things.
I agree, because I think we've dropped down the rabbit hole to the exception and not the rule. And just because it falls under beautification while you're there. Yeah,
Right,
I
and
agree with you. Yeah, I think
I
we
mean-
got off on this. The remodeling thing is what we fell off in that rabbit hole at the very beginning, and I don't think anyone is,
Right, and so I think Lisa's suggestions here protect everyone involved in the program, and I think they're good and they're wise. So I would be,
It was good, good discussion. We just wanted clarification.
Yeah, my only thing is I wouldn't put the hoop to have to drop through on the notary public for what's clearly a illegal dumping issue and not a remodeling issue.
Thank you, Charles.
one more, page 7.
Page 7.
I don't know
and I
if
have
we're on
one more.
7 or 6 still, but
We're on 7.
11.9, and I know this was existing. It says work may be performed at the Oklahoma County Courthouse. I would just take that out. Because if you're going to leave that in, then you better clarify that it also could be other county properties or property owned by the PDA. Just take it out, and there's no issue.
On 11.12, where it says removal of graffiti may be performed upon written receipt of consent by an authorized agent of the property and upon affidavit as provided in 11.3 addendum 8. Could we possibly add after removal of graffiti, or as directed with written consent served by a contracted entity? Because and this may go back to what we were just discussing, if we have a contract with the city, then we should be able to do that. And this writing or this language makes it sound like we have to get an affidavit signed. So if it's outside of the scope of the contract, then we would have to get an affidavit, but just put in there unless written consent is already provided.
Wait,
Per
hold on.
contract.
I may not be understanding correctly, but according to the statute, the property owner themselves must ask for it. So are you saying?
When you're under contract with a municipality, we're going to go do whatever the municipality wants to do. And none of these things that are in here these were intended, the affidavits were intended for when it's a member of the public
Okay.
contacting Shine. And I can make some clarifying language to all of these, because whenever it's under a municipal contract, we're just the laborer, and we're going to rely on Oklahoma City or City of Bethany to be the one to make sure that they have the owner's permission. Do you see what I'm saying? Make sure that we're not guaranteeing it. We're just the contract laborer. So I'm perfectly fine. Do whatever you want to do. Get those municipality contracts in place. We're offering those services. Municipalities can help us, do these things, but they're the ones,
Okay.
that are
Thank you for that.
directing the action. But the discussion last time, the reason why I did this the way I did it was after hearing everybody's comments.
Mhm.
Shine sometimes gets calls
Mhm.
or call-ins from the public directly. That's what these are geared towards.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you
and
for
that's
that clarification.
permissible, and the requirement of the statute is that they give written permission, et cetera. So doing away with the affidavit there, that the contracts that we have will outline all of those statutory requirements. The city's fulfilling those, and we're just doing the work.
Right.
Correct. Okay.
That would be
That's good.
my recommendation, is that if we're doing work under the city direction, that way, like if it's homeless camp abatement or graffiti removal or whatever, the city has already done the steps they need to do, and all we are doing is going out and providing the
They're
service.
giving us the assurance that all those statutory requirements have been met.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for that clarification. Thank you. The one thing I would, Cody, do you have something to say? He's raising his phone. The one thing, you're eight. Okay. Grant, I would like, just on behalf of District 2, and you work with Charles a lot in regards to those that we've served in the past, it would be nice to go ahead. And I know that, like you had said with the Oklahoma City contract and, the amount of labor we have, just at least have those contracts with the municipalities that we've done a lot of work in. I think Bethany was mentioned. So that way we have them should any work be available to be performed. We already have that in place. And then, at your discretion as the director, where we're able to provide that work. But it would be nice to have those in place just in case there is something that we want to
So
do in
reach
that
out to
area.
some of the other
Yeah,
municipalities.
especially the ones that we've been working with, historically. And I'm sure Charles could provide guidance on that with his leadership in that program. And then I think a lot of those concerns that Charles had would be alleviated in regards to those, that litter and things like that. So that would just be my recommendation on behalf of District 2. I don't have anything else on page 7. Do you have anything, Joe or Colton? And that concludes the policies and procedures. So I would make a motion in order to accept the changes that were discussed today and for this to go on to BOCC for final approval.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for all your hard work. And I hope that this has provided some clear direction and guidance. And of course, we can always revisit, any changes that need to happen in the future.
Absolutely.
So
I'll say it again. I appreciate Lisa. Anytime I've called or needed some kind of legal question or whatever, she's always there. So moving forward, I can always do that too. So, and come back here. So
yeah,
anything else?
that's it.
Good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. Do we have any citizen participation? None seen. Any board comments? None for me. Okay. Now I'll motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, it was in purchase.
So another reply. Wait.